Yap, 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 yap. The new season of Slime tries its best to scare viewers away as it just keeps on yapping. We have entire episodes of characters just sitting around talking to each other, doing nothing. And not only is this the laziest way of doing world building, it is also incredibly tedious to watch in anime format. Slime Season 3 is one of the few anime ever that made me wish for some filler, for some anime original content, because anything is more entertaining than this. So turn on your yap meter, because we are about to find out how many meetings there are in the first few episodes of Slime. Episode 1, small meeting to talk about the aftermath of Season 2 and the Kingdom of Falmuth. Episode 2, meeting with the clowns and another meeting in Falmuth. Episode 3, more talking about Falmuth and another meeting in Tempest starts. Episode 4, the meeting continues as they talk about reconstructing Eurazania, technology to keep monsters away, and more info about Falmuth where the king is giving lessons to Yom. Episode 5, there's no meeting in Tempest, because obviously almost the entire episode is yet another meeting, this time in the Holy Empire of Lubelius with Hinata and the crew. And if you are a bit checked out by now and weren't paying attention in the previous episodes, don't worry, they repeat a lot of information the audience already knows about Falmuth and the events of Season 2. Episode 6, we transition to yet another meeting in Tempest. They feature some other characters, but by now the room itself gives me nausea, so it's hard to focus. Oh, and there's also another meeting, this time with the bad guys of the season. In episode 7, things finally start happening as we follow Hinata's slice of life adventures as we transition to the eventual conflict. Now, I really like Reincarnated as a slime, and I really like the ending of Season 2, but talk about deflating an audience after a good ending. What is this follow-up? It's just 6 straight episodes of almost pure yapping. After the conflict with Clayman is resolved in Season 2, the main storyline going into Season 3 is the feud with Hinata. Our main character, Rimuru, is jacked up, juiced up, ready to bang it out with Hinata, and yet this fight only occurs in episode 8, and by then I'm nowhere near as interested because the episodes throughout the season have been so boring. I read some people online saying that the epicness of episode 8 was worth the equivalent of watching paint dry that was the previous 7 episodes, but to be quite honest, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. Instead of saying it was worth it, think about how much more hype, how much more enjoyable episode 8 could have been if the path to get there wasn't an absolute drag. So why are there so many meetings in this season? Let's look back a little bit. At the end of Season 2, Rimuru, our main character, has now digivolved into a Demon Lord, which gives him a pretty big power boost and clout boost. The other characters in this world can no longer afford to ignore Tempest, as it is home to a Demon Lord, one of the members of the prestigious Octagram, and also a main player in the world's economy and geopolitics. Whenever a series takes a significant leap in scale and concepts, me personally, I'm very forgiving if the next arc starts a bit slow, because there's a lot they need to establish to the audience in order for the story to continue to grow. Plus, we are now in the 3rd season of Slime, so the viewers that are still watching are probably very much into this series, and they are much more forgiving than someone watching for the first time. I am not against having these concurrent plot threads and these geopolitical affairs. I'm not someone who only wants to watch the banger action episodes, especially because they're very few in Slime, and Slime is not that type of series anyway. I'm here for all of the good stuff, but the problem with this season is that it completely reverses the age-old rule of show don't tell. Instead of showing the good stuff, they mostly just talk about it. The main issue with this season is that the strategy meeting trope is beyond overused, and having characters sit around the table and just vomit exposition can be done if sparingly, but here it's way overdone and it's very boring for the viewer. Number 1, it's not visually stimulating. I'm sorry, but anime is an audio-visual medium. If you just want to keep up with the conversation, then light novel or visual novel formats are much better for that. Number 2, you get this perverse psychological effect where you watch an episode where characters just sit around on the same physical location and just talk. At the end of the episode, you feel like you just wasted 20 minutes because you have this feeling like nothing happened. If there were more buffer scenes so that we could digest the information, maybe it would be a bit more palatable, but here it's just meeting after meeting back to back with no rest in between. And number 3, and this is a personal one that maybe adult viewers will relate more, is that seeing these meetings really reminds me of work. And I don't know about you, but whenever I'm watching something for entertainment, I don't like to be reminded of work. That's just me. In a previous video, I said that Slime is one of the few series that can get away with these strategy meetings, mostly because they are effectively running a country, so it makes sense, and also because they can use these meetings as a way of doing character building. Each character is very quirky and has their own responsibilities, so through dialogue you can do a bit of character building. I didn't expect them to do so many meetings though, this is a bit much. And I want to emphasize, scenes of characters talking aren't necessarily bad. On this very show in the previous season, there was the meeting of the Demon Lords, the Octogram, and that was very hype, and fans, including myself, really liked that scene. However, because these meetings don't really change much in terms of input and it's always the same characters, the topics and characters start feeling overexposed and repetitive. It seems like you're in some sort of weird dream where you're reliving the same thing over and over. And listen, I like the characters in Slime, but generally speaking, these are nice, polite characters. There's no one crazy entertaining, crazy over the top, like for example the characters in Overlord, or for example the quirky characters in Dungeon Meshi, which is airing at the same time. There's no one in the Slime cast that's really funny or engaging and able to just carry the conversations by themselves with their charismatic dialogue. Diablo is probably the closest to this that you have, but even he feels a bit watered down after so many meetings. To be fair, this type of exposition is a lot more passable in written format, even if I'm also not a super fan of it. However, in the anime format, to me, they really needed some anime original content to spice things up. Let's take the Falmuth Kingdom storyline for example. It's been a major storyline that's being talked about in almost every episode, and yet we've only had 1 or 2 major scenes in there, and I'm using the word major very loosely here. What do the viewers actually know about the evil king's brother that's staging a coup and trying to take over the country? Pretty much nothing, because he's not really a character. He's barely appeared, he's barely talked, he's just a tree in the background that's talked about sometimes. It's very weird. I know nothing about the guy. If you offered me $1 million right now to tell you the guy's name, then you would get to keep your money, because I don't know his name, and to be honest, I don't care because the show does not make me care. And what about Yom? In the previous season he was in the center of a love triangle, so at least he was doing something. In this new season he's apparently being trained to be the next ruler, but we've barely seen him. I think he has only had a few lines of dialogue in episode 1. So instead of talking about all these things, how about you just show them, show the evil brother gathering up the nobles, gathering up troops, trying to take over the country. Maybe show some cheeky scenes with Diablo laughing at the foolish humans. Show what the common people of Falmuth are thinking now that their idiot king went and started a war, got his ass whooped, and now sent the country into chaos. Show Yom training to become the next ruler of Falmuth. Show him struggling, going from adventurer to ruler. Show me something in Falmuth in general. The story has been so Tempest focused, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but when you're talking about Falmuth so much, I step back and realize I barely know anything about it. How about you just show me something? Expand on things with anime original content if you have to, just please show me actual things happening instead of having characters in a roundtable meeting caressing themselves while they praise Rimuru. And also one thing about the Falmuth storyline in particular, I have not read the light novel and I stopped reading the manga in this exact point in the story, so I don't know where this is going. If there's no actual big payoff to all of this, then what was even the point? So many episodes wasted. I think the anime community in general is very hesitant towards filler and anime original stuff because it can be very bad and a lot of series give it a bad rep, Naruto being the main one I'm thinking about, but still, anime original scenes, when done well, can really enhance a series, and I really think Slime Season 3 needed it to break up this almost unadaptable series of meetings that does not translate well to anime format. Still, despite its rough patch, I am enjoying this new season of Slime, and episode 8 with Shion and Rimuru's flex moments was a complete banger, so I do hope that the season starts picking up from here. And what did you think about the constant meetings in Season 3? Are you still awake or have you gone to sleep already? Leave it in the comments below and be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and ciao!